Good morning. Today is Wednesday, May 25, and this is Devotions from St. Paul Evangelical Lutheran Church in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Today I'm going to take a very well-known story from Luke's Gospel, the story of the Good Samaritan. But the only part I'm going to read is the part just before it, when the young lawyer poses the question and answers it, and then we'll see where we go from there. So this is from the 10th chapter of Luke's Gospel. Just then a lawyer stood up to test Jesus. "Teacher," he said, "what must I do to inherit eternal life?" Jesus said to him, "What is written in the law? What do you read there?" He answered, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself." And Jesus said to him, "You have given the right answer. Do this and you will live." There's a couple of things here that, at least the wording to me, are interesting. It says that the young lawyer asked the question to test Jesus. And yet, when Jesus asked him what he knew of the answer, he gave the answer that Jesus says was correct. So I don't understand this idea of testing Jesus. It sounds to me like the writer is saying that the lawyer didn't believe Jesus and that he was trying to put him to the test. But Jesus turned it back on him, and then the lawyer answered correctly. So let's take a quick look at the answer. You shall love the Lord your God with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself. The part about loving God is probably common to every religion. It's what we're supposed to do. Worship God, love God, serve God, follow His commandments. So the controversy comes from neighbor as yourself. The lawyer follows this up, and it says when he follows it up, he's doing it to justify himself. Who is my neighbor? And this is when Jesus goes into the parable of the Good Samaritan. Now that's a well-known parable, so I'm just going to kind of paraphrase it and we'll go through. Okay, but let's look at the idea that the young lawyer now wanted to justify himself. Our Lutheran Study Bible offers two ideas on the idea of justifying himself. One is to say, look, I'm already doing this. I'm good at this. And the second is to figure out what he has to do to actually merit eternal life. Consider that as we go through this discussion. If you remember, there's a man walking from Jericho to Jerusalem, and he's attacked and left almost dead. And a priest walks by and goes by on the other side. And a Levite walks by and goes by on the other side, and neither one offers any help. And then a Samaritan, someone who the Jews did not get along with, takes care of him, heals his wounds, takes him to a local inn, cares for him overnight, and in the morning tells the innkeeper, "Here's some money. I will come back this way. Anything more that you spend, I will pay." Who obviously is the good neighbor. And the young lawyer answers correctly. Now, in a time, you could make a case for the priest and the Levite to go by on the other sides because of their official duties. But Jesus wasn't very sympathetic to official duties or official rules and said taking care of people comes first. So the story is very strong on the Samaritan was the good neighbor. Run it forward to today. Who are our neighbors? Who are we supposed to take care of? Well, if you look at the story closely, I think the man who was beaten was unknown to all three of the people that walked by, and only one stopped. The Samaritan had no business dealing with him according to the laws of that time, according to the customs of that time. But he did. So for us, it means not just people we know, not just people we're associated with, not just people we know of, but most anyone we come in contact. Now, there's some examples around of good examples and not so good examples. With the war going on in Ukraine right now, there are a lot of Ukrainians on the move. Someone said 6 million have left the country to neighboring countries. And by all reports, they're being pretty well taken care of. People that don't know them are taking them to their homes. They're giving them clothes. They're giving their kids books and toys and games. And they're feeding them and they're clothing them and they're taking care of them. All acts as good neighbors. But that's far away. Who around here could we see? I don't know. But I think as we go along, we could do things that are more maybe institutional. There are organizations like Project Share, which feeds the homeless, or Carlisle Cares, which takes care of the homeless. Those kinds of programs are taking care of neighbors. What's more, we have neighbors that come to our church, and some people are really good at welcoming them, saying, "Thank you, glad you're come, hope you'll come back, what can we do for you?" There are all kinds of ways we can be good neighbors, and I think that's what Jesus calls us to do. At one point, Jesus says to the disciples, "If you do it to the least of these, you do it to me." That's what he's calling us for. That's part of being in relation with him. And I think that's what this lawyer would find is the way to justify, to work towards eternal life. I hope you'll think about this in your daily life. Go through your life and see, what can I do to help my neighbor? Thank you.